Thank you for this invitation and allowing me to share with you the Textile 360 project, the craft of reuse facing the challenge of textile waste. This project was initiated in Bourg-en-Bresse in Aisne, about 2 hours drive from here. It is led by Tremplin, one of the largest insertion associations in the region, composed of about 500 employees in various fields such as emergency reception, organic gardens, and social housing. Among them, 133 work in the textile sector. The organization is the main collector of textile in the department, collecting approximately 1,000 tons annually. By the end of 2022, Tremplin committed alongside the Bourg-en-Bresse conurbation area to be the first territory in France to stop exporting textiles by 2025. As a project manager in this organization, my thesis work focused on this case study. The French and more broadly European model is summarized by 80% export of collected textiles. The deleterious social and environmental impact of these exports to countries like Pakistan, Ghana or Chile compels us to cease outsourcing the treatment of our waste. In France, only about 3% of collected textile are resold domestically, and other 31% recycled, but the majority is exported also. Tremplin has managed to increase direct reuse to 18% by developing shops. It is known that the shorter the loop, the more economic value is presumably retained and environmental impacts minimized, as demonstrated by Ellen MacArthur Foundation in particular. However, if we have to handle large volume, the direct reuse model is clearly insufficient. Therefore, the Textile 360 project aims to find markets for the entire unsold stock, increase material durability, and have a socio-economic impact on the territory. It brings together the Insertion Association Tremplin and the conurbation to structure a collaborative and innovative ecosystem involving local companies within a radius, if possible, of 360 kilometers. The craft of reuse had been established in the company's sewing workshop with upcycling of piece, but faced with significant collected volumes, it has also proven to be inadequate. Hence, the need to find industrial partners to channel this flow is approximately 800 tons, and to scale up. To start this work, it was essential to characterize the volume of textiles. The main family consists of cotton, polyester, shoes, and mixed clothing. Here you can see that we began by the direct reemployed of textiles, and after we work about the craft of reuse, but we have so much textile arrived every time in the center of sorting that it was impossible to manage this waste just with this solution. So we need to respond to the urgency to stop exportation. It's to manage large volumes. During the years 2023, we managed to reduce our exports from 60% to about 30% by creating the first loops of local economy. That's the first step. For example, the collected cotton is transformed into cotton wool insulation by Vitex. Its composition and technical properties, particularly in summer and winter comfort, have allowed it to be integrated into the local program for enhancing biosourced insulation. It can be subsidized if individuals or committees wish to use it. We also collaborated with Revival, a startup developing a process for dismantling sneakers based in northern France. They developed stone gum, a coating for cycle paths made from sneakers soles mixed with volcanic rock called puzzolane. Their track is permeable, repairable, and recyclable. The synergy between Tremplin and the conurbation allowed them to install their first industrial line next to Bourg-en-Bresse in October. Several kilometers of paths are expected to be created in our area. Recognizing cotton, sorting color or sorting shoes is relatively easy, but visual sorting has its limits here. In order to characterize textiles more precisely, we had to equip ourselves with spectrometers that read the materials. This was possible as part of calls for project with ADEME, the Agency of Ecological Transition. Thanks to his equipment, we are starting work on polyester this month. Hard points such as buttons and zippers are removed from polyester clothing, then granulated at MIOV and spun it in fiber. This spinning mill, based in our department, produces high-quality continuous multifilament, resistant to washing and making the products more sustainable. We plan weaving and knitting tests in collaboration with DMD, a professional clothing manufacturer, to create 100% recycled polyester fleece jackets. This approach involves work on sustainable design, as end-of-life fleece can be fully consigned and regranulated. A final partner, Groupe Semin, has agreed to purchase this showcase collection of polyester made from textile fibers and not from PET from bottles. Thus, close to 20 partners of the Textile 360 project have come together around this initiative, ensuring traceability of flows and supporting the availability of locally recycled materials. The current issue lies in aligning company, industry, and volumes of waste. We hope to receive confirmation on May to finalize our scaling approach and focus on developing a reuse craft. The work initiated at Tremplin, as well as that carried out worldwide on the craft of reuse, is very invigorating. It even carries within it a libertarian spirit, a space where the material considered with respect invites the convivial tool terrorized by Illich to recontextualize it. Jean-Marc Huygens even instills a memory to his objects, which persists through their new usage, a vibrant, living material. Correlating by the clothing as a ritual object described in the latest article of Maud Herbert. Here are three significant models: The first example is the work of Wang Shu and Liu Wanyu in China. These architects have rehabilitated what is called wapan, a traditional construction method which consists of recovering old stones and combining them with more recent material like cement. The facade of the Ningbo History Museum in China offers a powerful and moving graphic composition. Another interesting example, designer Mebru recovers silk ball and foam waste to form seats with a good resilience, durable and aesthetic. The third example concerns house carpet, notably the one called Lucy, made by the Rural Studio in Alabama, under the direction of Professor Samuel Mogbisis. All load-bearing walls are made in compressed carpet, and all the house inside is like that. In a perfect world, we should be able to reuse our waste in the best possible way, in a reuse that respects the material and makes it shine. But so much textile flood sorting center. We need to find an involving solution between recycling and the craft of reuse. R&D, technology and creativity combined with traditional recycling and craftsmanship processes open the way for many possibilities. Frying primarily serves to produce insulation, which avoids importing resources like wood wool or glass wool, which incidentally leads to pulmonary toxicity. By pushing the cursor further, these materials can be diverted from their basic function and regenerated. For example, in the first picture, Isabelle Deide, founder of V.Belle, have developed flexible, semi-rigid and rigid felts that can be used in the production of acoustic panels for cinema, for the creation of bag or accessory of furniture. The three designers from Maximum, you can see their chair close to here, have developed, they are specialists of reemployment. And they have developed Titium, the second picture. This material is made 100% from old frayeur clothing linked to industrial paint powder waste. Sold in panels with a very dense structure, Titium works like wood. This new material will soon be integrated into our workshops and interiors. Of high quality, they offer a new twist for this waste. And all these people is the partner of the project. Experiments are also being conducted with the granulation of polyester and polyamide textiles, petroleum-derived polymer. The possibilities here are to create new fibers or new materials. These objects produced would substitute from petroleum-sourced and import objects and would respond to an analysis of local needs, compost buckets, egg box, cups, storage boxes. The issue of standards could be overcome within the framework of R&D and industrial partnerships. Finally, the shoes, a black spot in sorting center, have markets for sneakers as we have seen. A program around leather shoes is in gestation and could give birth to a novel materials like leather wood. Here we see a rich panel of materials to work with the raw materials that could be devoted to both artisan and industry. Taking a step back from our case study, the ultimate goal of this research will be to reinvent textile waste around local markets by creating a get better and better bridge between recycling and the craft of reuse. This bridge could be called réemployance, a neologism resulting from a contraction of reuse and affordance. It offers a notion that could be linked with a waste resilience opportunity, which would be evolutionary, adaptive, perfectible, and complementary. It would revolve around innovation, scaling to manage large volumes, the reuse craft, and circularity. It would be akin to the blue economy in its essence. Waste combined with knowledge brings wealth, and this wealth added to ingenuity and craft allows added values to be increased. Thus, profitable market loops can be creating, generating employment and revitalizing territories. From this quintessence, the work would consist of proposing a structure and replicable project based on this notion of reemployance. As a tangible result, creating a dedicated collection focusing on usage and aesthetic. Here, we will need to break free from standards and perhaps find through art some way of bypassing them. Therefore, making this sketch visible from concept to reality through a strong circular design driven by a rational utopia as described by Jean-Luc Metzger. The idea is to explore materials in the service of a craft of reemployance similar to the VLAN project initiated in the Textile chair of Lille in collaboration with the Museum of Decorative Arts and Refashion, or an aesthetic of sustainability project of the Art and Design School of the Canton of Lausanne. Both are very inspiring. The Textile 360 projects embodies that innovative collaborative initiative aimed at maximizing the local use of resources derived from the collect textile waste. By the end of 2024, the circular synergy of the various stakeholders should ensure the success of projects and mark the end of exports from the Bourg-en-Bresse conurbation. This initiative has already attracted the interest of the Lyon metropolitan area, which is looking at the same issues. By establishing a dynamic ecosystem that brings together industrialists, local authorities, and social inclusion, by promoting traditional and innovative craft, this project demonstrates that a circular, creative, and sustainable approach is not only feasible, but environmentally and socio-economically beneficial. Reemployance as a waste resilience opportunity is a fundamental pillar of this approach. The next step will to define the precise contours of this notion integrated into a structured and replicable project model. This approach must not, however, justify the continuation of unbridled overconsumption, but could influence the debate so that social and environmental responsibility apply to everyone and the export of colonial waste comes to an end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any questions?
Thank you so much. You told us that you had in Textile 360 some equipments. Do you need to buy it, or the cooperatives, maybe the region gives it to you because they support your project?
So they support.
Okay.
They support.
That's nice, at least.
But we have to equip and buy spectrometers and cut and other tools. We have to do a project and ask money to the agency of transition, ecological transition.
Okay. Yeah. So you can work with this agency, right?
But now we have work with Refashion. Refashion is the eco-organism of the fashion in France, and we have they follow the project, and if the center can prove the technique of sorting, so we can have subsidies, and we have some since the beginning of the year, because we do a big work in the center.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I see there is a big advance since the last presentation. It's incredible. And yes, I see it's very interesting with all your models, because we see clearly more like a map of all these concepts, the difference between reuse, recycling. We really understand the issue, and this is very nice. And I have a question. It's more about, does exist another model like what you see every day in Tremplin, and how they explore all these different concepts?
We are monitoring all the new model, but in France we are the first to propose this kind of models, to integrate all the material of the textiles, and to do this scale up. We understand, because in my heart I just want to work on the craft, but it's impossible. But so we invent this, but we are helping with all the new designer and the new research bringing by the eco-organism, for example.
And yes, I have the feeling, because I see with Hélène in the manufacturers models, we are like in the boundaries between craft and industrial scale. So yes, maybe we can have some comparison with the manufacturers models. But yes, it's a proposition.
And perhaps with Hélène, we are going to try the textile ceramic.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your very interesting presentation, and also very important with all the clothing that we're wearing and throwing away. But I was wondering if I'm correct. All those waste streams have are very complicated substances. They're all different. They all are a mix of various materials. So I've also once read, and I was wondering what your ideas were about, that you have to start a step earlier. So you have to start at how do we produce, instead of not what do we do with the waste, but how do we produce and what do we produce things of. Do you also take those things into account in your research? The step before it's being produced.
Est-ce que on travaille sur l'éco-conception?
Sur avant les biodéchets, avant le produit final, comment il est produit.
I don't work about this subject precisely, but I have more and more information, and we see that eco-conception is something important now, but now we are concentrated on the West, and it's enough for us. But you can see here, we are working on these loops, the end of these loops, and the product of this experimentation, you put your polar, and all the polar is in polyester. The zipper, the button, the fleece. So during experimentation, we can have an influence of eco-conception, but we don't work just on eco-conception. But that's the reason of re-employance of this notion, because it's something we want to get better and better every time, and it's like an adaptation of the work in all these steps, recycling, reuse, and to find the best solution at a time.